Good morning, my dear friends. It is my pleasure again to meet you all through another video. This time we are going to discuss lesson number 21, Nutrition and Health. So what is the thing we are going to study in this lesson? Do you have a habit of looking at what is the expiry date of an item you purchase? Especially if it is a food item, don't forget to look at the expiry date. Also, look at a registration number, the manufacturing date, the batch, so many things they would have given, but FSSI number is a very important number, registration number they should have printed on their food item. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. If you don't have a habit of doing things like that, start doing it, because that is the fuel you're going to take it inside your body. What is the meaning of a fuel? Let's take an example. Let's say you have a bike, but there is no petrol inside. You know the situation, what will happen. Likewise, even for a human being, we need energy, we fuel, and that fuel is our food. I hope you will agree with me. In this case, this fuel, what we take as a form of food, will be utilized for the growth and development. That cell division and all need a lot of energy and things to divide in 1 into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8, like that. Going for cell repair, sometimes we may have an injury and that particular part has to be repaired. For that you need energy, fuel. These food items give you energy so that energy can be burned, so that you can keep working, running, reading, thinking, concentrating. Everything can be done when you need an energy inside, which is the food is providing it. Coming to the fourth one, development of immunity. Your body system should have an immune system that should be very active. Why we should have an active immune system? Reason, if there is an attack of microbes which on us, we need to have our own defense mechanism to fight with these microbes and safeguard ourselves from various diseases. So we take the food as a fuel for making energy, for getting immunity, cell damage and repair, growth and development. So that is what we are going to study from this lesson, nutrition and health. These food items, the nutrients, are classified into majorly 5 groups: carbohydrates, proteins, fat, vitamins, minerals. What are these things do individually? Let's see that one by one. The first nutrient is carbohydrate. Let's look into little more details of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are organic compounds which are present widely in the food what you take. These carbohydrates are organic compounds that contains carbon, hydrogen and oxygen as the base atoms inside. These carbohydrates provide energy. That is the main focus of this carbohydrate. They break down to form energy inside our body. Example for these carbohydrates are glucose, fructose, cellulose. All these are example of carbohydrates. These carbohydrates are classified into the number of glucose molecule, the base molecule present inside. They are monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharides. The base of a carbohydrate molecule is glucose, C6H12O6. That is a glucose molecule. That is a basic unit of a carbohydrate. Let's say there is only one molecule of carbohydrates present. They are called monosaccharides. Let's say there are 2 molecules are present, disaccharides. Let's say there are more than 2 molecules of glucose is present, they are called polysaccharides. Example for a monosaccharide is a glucose. Example for a disaccharide is a sucrose. And example for a polysaccharide, it is cellulose. The next nutrient we are going to discuss is proteins. Proteins are available in our diet. These proteins are mainly for the building blocks of the body. These proteins helps us to repair our body. These proteins are made up of, their basic unit is amino acids that we have studied in the previous classes. But what we should remember from this lesson is all the amino acids which they are about to make a protein, all of them cannot be produced inside our body itself. So some of the amino acids should be supplied to our body through the food. They are called essential amino acids. If you look at what are the essential amino acids that we should include in our diet, are 9 in number, and they are phenylalanine, valine, threonine, tryptophan, methionine, leucine, isoleucine, lysine, and last histidine. These are the 9 essential amino acids which we should include in our diet. The next nutrient we are going to discuss is the fat. If you look at the fat, they actually provide energy for us. If you look at the fat, actually they provide energy for our body, and they provide metabolic. Fat inside our body provides energy. Also, this fat maintains the cell structure. The amount of fat inside a cell that actually maintains the structure of a cell. Also, it is involved in metabolic activities of the cell. And we have fatty acids that are essential for our body. That too, it cannot be synthesized inside our body. They are called essential fatty acids. That has to be included in our diet so that we get all this type of good metabolic functions, maintenance of cell structure, and getting energy from the fat. Such fatty acids are called essential fatty acids. Example is omega fatty acids. So in this lesson, unit of 21, nutrition and health, we will learn something which is required for our life. Do you have a habit of checking the expiry date of a food item or a snack you purchase it? You should always check the manufacturing date and expiry date of that particular thing along with a registration for that particular manufacturer to make a snack. And government has to authorize, okay, in a hygienic condition they are making it, in a hygienic condition they are preserving it and packing it and transporting it. All these are maintained with an FSSAI number, Food Safety and Standard Authority of India. FSSAI number along with the expiry date you should check every time before you purchase a snack. If it expires or does not show an FSSAI number, please don't buy that and eat. What will happen if you ignore all these things? It leads to severe health conditions that may include cancer. So that is what we are going to see in this lesson, how this nutrition and health. Let's start this lesson. First thing, what is called a food? Food items are nothing but we consume that gives us a nutritional support. What is called a nutritions? They are carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, fats, and proteins. Let's see them one by one. If you look at the carbohydrates, they are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And the main work of this one is to provide energy. And if you look at this carbohydrate, they are classified into 3: monosaccharide, disaccharide, and polysaccharides. Monosaccharide means a single unit of sugar molecule. Carbohydrate is present, that is CHO. The basic one is C6H12O6. And disaccharide, 2 units of sugar molecule will be present, and more than 2 molecules of sugar we call them as polysaccharides. Coming to the next one, proteins. Proteins are important for our body for the growth and repair mechanisms. Proteins are made up of amino acids, and all these amino acids cannot be synthesized inside our body. So it has to be supplied through our diet. Such amino acids are called essential amino acids. They are 9 in number: phenylalanine, valine, threonine, tryptophan, methionine, leucine, isoleucine, lysine, and histidine. These are called essential amino acids that has to be inside our diets so that proper protein makeup will be done, in which it will lead to proper growth and repair of our body mechanisms. Coming to the next nutrient, it is called fat. Fat normally produces energy, and also it helps to maintain the cell structure, and is also involved in metabolic functions of our body. They are also called an fatty acid called omega fatty acid. It is called essential fatty acid because this fatty acid cannot be synthesized inside our body, so it has to be supplied through our diet. So that is called essential fatty acid. An example is omega fatty acids. Let's see the next minerals and vitamins as the next one. The next nutrient we are going to discuss is vitamins. These vitamins are actually, they require not like the carbohydrate, protein or fat. These vitamins require only minute quantity, and these vitamins are performing various physiological and biological functions inside our body. We will see that in detail one more time. The next nutrient we are going to see is the vitamins. Vitamins are required in very minute quantity and they are involving in physiological and biochemical functions of our body. These vitamins are classified into fat soluble vitamins. They are vitamin A, D, E and K, and water soluble. They are vitamin B complex, that includes vitamin B1, B2, B3, B6 and 12. Also vitamin C are water soluble vitamins. Vitamin A is called otherwise called as retinol. They are present in carrot, papaya, fish liver oil, egg yolk and all the dairy products in large quantity. These actually helping for the vision, and lack of this vitamin A may lead to night blindness. Also vitamin D, this actually present abundantly in egg, liver, dairy products, and the beauty of this one is it can also be produced in our skin. When our skin is exposed to the sunlight, dehydrocholesterol present inside our skin will be converted into vitamin D. This vitamin D actually, lack of vitamin D will cause rickets and less immunity and less calcium absorption inside our body. The next vitamin we are going to discuss is vitamin E, tocopherol. This is present in whole wheat, meat, vegetable oil and milk. So absence of vitamin E will lead to sterility. That means vitamin E gives us reproductive health. Coming to the next one, vitamin K. This is present in leafy vegetables, soya beans and milk. This has a very important role in a human life because no blood clotting will be the result of the lack of vitamin K in our diet, in our food or in our body. Reason is, if there is no blood clotting, even through a minute hole, huge quantity of blood will be lost. So that will be a life-threatening case. Coming to the next one, water soluble vitamins, vitamin B complex and vitamin C. Let's see them one by one. Vitamin B1, thiamine, whole grains, egg, liver, sprouted pulses are the rich source of vitamin B1. Lack of vitamin B1 will lead to beriberi and degenerative changes in the nerves and muscles. That will be a severe cases. That particular disease is called beriberi. And coming to vitamin B2, it is abundantly present in milk, egg, liver, lean meat, vegetable and whole grains. And absence of vitamin B2 will lead to irritation in eye, mouth, inflammation in the lips, and the mouth related issues will be there if there is an absence of vitamin B2 in your body system. Next is vitamin B3. It is present. It is abundantly present in milk, egg, groundnut and livers. So this causes a disorder called pellagra, that is inflammation in skin, loss of memory and diarrhea. Loss of memory, that is going to cause you a lot of troubles. Vitamin B6 is the next one. Meat is available abundantly in meat, fish, egg, grains, cereals, rice polishings. What is the meaning of rice polishings? That means, have you noticed some variety of rice is not completely polished? In fact, that type of rice is nutritively more good than the completely polished rice. Coming to the disorders due to this absence of vitamin B6 can lead to nervous disorders as well as a scaly type of skins. Vitamin B12 is the next one. In this vitamin B12 is abundantly present in milk, meat, cereals, pulses and fish. Absence of vitamin B12 or lack of vitamin B12 can lead to anemia, a condition where which mean oxygen carrying capacity will be less. So that is a severe life threatening one. Also the degeneration of spinal cord. So you can imagine what will be the effects of the absence or lack of vitamin B12. Coming to the last one, the water soluble is vitamin C. This is available in leafy vegetables and all the citrus fruit like lemon, amla, orange, all these things are the rich source of vitamin C. This actually leads to scurvy. The absence or lack of vitamin C will lead to scurvy, the bleeding gums. Also, delayed healing of wound, teeth and bone malformed. That means teeth will not be in a regular order. The bones may not be in a regular shape or order. That will be caused due to the lack or absence of vitamin C. So far we have seen vitamins which are fat soluble as well as water soluble. Let us look into one more even that. Normally people used to show the young ones, the infant human babies to the sun, the early morning, especially the early morning time or evening time. There is a secret behind it, that a vitamin called vitamin D is called otherwise called a sunshine vitamin. It is an essential for our body that we will see later. But this vitamin alone can be produced inside our body just by exposing yourself to the sun. How? When our body exposed to the sun, our body contains dehydrocholesterol, a compound inside our body that can be converted into vitamin D. In fact, this vitamin D is very much required for our development of our immune system. So I hope you understand the importance of vitamin D at this time of COVID-19 pandemic. So this is an additional information you should have. Vitamin D is a sunshine vitamin. Apart from improving the immunity, this vitamin D is also improves the efficiency of our body to absorb the calcium which is required for our bones and teeth. So that is another additional function of vitamin D. So if you look at the next nutrient that is inside our diet or that has to be inside our diet is the minerals. Minerals are inorganic compounds. They are not organic compounds, they are inorganic compounds. Some of them are required in little larger quantity and few others are required in very trace amount. So minerals are classified into macro minerals, that they require little larger quantity. They are calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium and magnesium. Whereas some other minerals like sulfur, iron, chlorine, cobalt, copper, zinc, manganese, molybdenum, iodine and selenium. These minerals, we require only very trace amount. They are called trace nutrients. Trace elements or micronutrients. Micro minerals are called trace elements or micro minerals. These are required in a very less quantity inside our body. Still, these are performing various physiological and chemical reactions inside our body. These minerals are also the part of our bones, teeth, blood, muscle and nerve tissues. Before we jump into the next topic, let's look into how much quantity of this carbohydrate, proteins and all required for a normal human being for a day, and what are the sources of those things, because you should have a basic idea. Because if you keep on eating carbohydrate alone, avoiding the proteins and fat, you get disease. So it is not a good practice that you keep on taking carbohydrates and by unknowingly you may miss the proteins, minerals and other things. That may lead to some disorders inside our body. So let it not happen. Let's look into a formula. Let's look into a small data that actually shows how much quantity of carbohydrate is required by a normal human being and protein as well as the fats. What are the sources of it? The rich source of carbohydrates are honey, rice, sugarcane, fruits, whole grains and starchy vegetables. These are all rich source of carbohydrate, and this carbohydrate is required 150 to 200 grams a day for a normal human being. If you look at the requirement of proteins, for a normal human being, we require protein approximately 40 grams. And if you look at the required quantity of fat for a normal human being for a day is 35 grams. And the rich source of proteins are legumes, pulses, nuts, soya bean, green leafy vegetables, fish, poultry products, egg, milk, and all the dairy products. And if you look at the rich source of fat is egg yolk, saturated oil, and the meat are the general source of this fat content. The next nutrient we are going to see is the minerals. Minerals are inorganic compounds that are required for our body. Especially things like teeth, for the muscles, for the nerves, and for the blood. If you look at these minerals, they are classified into two: macro minerals and micro minerals. Minerals that they are required in little larger quantity are called macro minerals. Examples are calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, and magnesium. Whereas in the case of micro minerals, we require this in a very less quantity. Examples are sulfur, iron, chlorine, cobalt, copper, zinc, manganese, and molybdenum. Molybdenum, iodine, and selenium. If you look at the next one, protein energy malfunction, that means due to the lack of protein, due to some cases, people used to have a good quantity of food, which may be including carbohydrate and minerals or other things, but they may miss the proteins. In that case, it may lead to a disease called kwashiorkor and marasmus. Marasmus happens in the case of infants and kwashiorkor happens in the case of children. Before we start the next one, food hygiene, please don't forget to refer table 21.3 in your textbook that actually discusses about what are the micro minerals, where the rich source, what will happen if there is a lack of that particular mineral or an absence of that particular mineral. And coming to the next one is the food hygiene. Food hygiene is nothing but to maintain a good quality of food even where it is packed or processed or stored. Sometimes the food hygienes may not be there due to mainly two reasons. One is internal factors, another one is external factors. Internal factors include the enzymatic activities inside the food to go for decomposition by itself, and also the moisture content inside the food items will also lead to the decomposition of food spoilage will happen. And coming to the external factors for the food spoilage and lack of good food hygiene is addition of adulterants and sometimes contaminations. Let's start the next topic, food hygiene. What does it mean by hygiening? Whether the vegetables are taking bath, brushing their teeth? No, it's not like that. Maintaining the food items in a quality and hygiene environment is called food hygiene. In this one, you should know one word called food spoilage. Food spoilage, what does it mean? Food spoilage is an undesirable change in the normal state of a food item that makes it not suitable for consuming it, eating it. Maybe due to the growth of microorganism or due to the internal issues. So that is what we are going to see next. How this food spoilage happens. If you look at that, there are two factors. One is internal factors, another one is external factors. If you look at the internal factors, the enzymes present inside the fruit or vegetable itself will make the fruit and the vegetables to start decaying. So it is a natural thing that food or things that fruits or something that contains seeds inside. So whenever this fruit fall on the land, it has supposed to decay so that new plant can start coming out of it, the seeds. So naturally there will be enzymes inside to go for degradation. So that is an internal factor. Coming to external factors that leads to the spoilage of food is microorganisms, presence of adulterants, unhygienic cooking or preparatory area or storage area, and lack of storage facilities. These may all lead to, these are the spoilage of food and these are the external factors. These will lead to spoilage of food and these are the external factors that may cause the damage of the food items. And the next topic we are going to discuss is how can we prevent the spoilage of this food, that we can store it for some extra time so that it can be preserved. Imagine all the food is produced today, it is destroyed in the next day itself. If it is all the things, all the tomatoes, all the vegetables, fruits, everything, whatever destroys, there won't be any use for us. So there should be some techniques used to prevent this decaying or delay this decaying. We should adopt it. So that are the food preservation techniques. We are going to see it next. And why we should preserve it. If you look at one by one, the reasons behind why we should preserve the food. To increase the shelf life. That means if you keep it on somewhere for the sales, it should be there in good quality for a long time, so that the customer can come and purchase it and use it and consume it in a good quality, increasing shelf life. So we preserve the food to maintain the texture, color, quality, order, everything. We have to preserve it. Storage of food will makes the loss of food, that means wastage of food will be reduced if we keep storing it. This storage mechanism of food items will make the food supply possible, because all the type of fruits or vegetables are not grown throughout the world, every location. It is not possible. Let's say apple is cultivated only in Kashmir in India. So an apple has to travel from Kashmir to Tamil Nadu or the other southern part of India. It takes a long time and you need to preserve it for some time so that this can be consumable. These are the reasons why we should go for food preservation methods. Let's look into the food preservation methods one by one. The first one is drying. So we have discussed earlier that there are enzymes present inside the fruits and vegetables so that it will start degenerating itself. This happens only when there is an excess presence of moisture content, the water content inside. What will happen if you remove all the moisture content, water content? We can keep these fruits, nuts and all in a dried condition so that there is no water content inside. The enzymatic activity will be delayed. So this is a method called drying. The drying can be done with the sun drying or with the help of machines we can do it. Next method, food preservation method, is smoking. If you smoke a particular food item, example like fish or meat, that actually remove the water content, so that the activity of microorganisms or self decomposition methods will be delayed, because microorganisms or these enzymes to degenerate these food items requires presence of water. So smoke can also remove the water. So smoking is also an efficient method to keep the food item preserved for some time. Next food preservation method is giving radiation, ionizing rays. You could have studied that in physics, that the rays which are ionizing properties, that means damaging the tissues, when we expose these food items in a lower quantity to this rays like gamma rays, ultraviolet rays, X-rays and all, this will kill all the microbes inside. That means with the absence of microbes, this food can be stored for a long time. And the next method we are going to preserve the food is cold storage. Of course, cold storage we are much familiar with that, because we see that the milk and some vegetables, tomatoes and all these kept in a cold storage for a longer time, so that this will remain as a fresh condition. The secret is the degenerating things which are present inside this tomato or the fruit items requires a particular temperature. So the biological and enzymatic activities inside this for the decomposition will be delayed. So a delayed decomposition means we can preserve these food items for a longer time. And the next method of food preservation is freezing. Keeping the things below 0 degrees Celsius means it is completely making all the enzymatic activity, the microbes present inside, all these things will be in an inactive condition. That means if the microbe is also inactive condition, which is going to decompose this thing, also the enzymes which is responsible for decomposition, that is also inactive. That means by freezing, we can keep the food items for a long time. Only minus point with this is for to make the things to in a freezing condition, you need some equipment that actually consumes huge amount of energy in the form of electricity or by any other means. The next method is canning. In this thing, food items are preserved in a closed container, sealed container. Inside the pressure is increased. You have seen that air filled snack items, all this makes the air pressure inside. This actually prevents the entry of further microbes, and excess pressure inside will make the microbes to be inactive, and this enzymatic activity will also be delayed. And the last method we are generally going for the preservation of milk is called pasteurization. So you all get the milk product in a packet at your home. They are all pasteurized milk. Pasteurization means a technique developed in such a way that 60-degree temperature the milk will be boiled for 30 minutes, followed with an immediate cooling off that will kill all the microbes inside. So by keeping this pasteurization method followed with the cold storage method can preserve this milk for a longer time. The next method we are going to see in the case of preserving the food items is by adding some preservatives inside. Addition of preservatives can also make the food preservation possible. Preservatives may be natural or artificial. The natural preservatives like salt, sugar and oil. You know the pickles and dried fish, they always taste so heavily with the salt because these things are preserved inside the salt. Salt will remove the water so that the entire food item will be preserved with no water content inside. The no water content means microbial activities will not be there. Also, the decomposition of enzymatic activities will also be delayed. The next natural method of food preservation is addition of sugar. If you add this sugar to the food items, these sugars has a property that they are hygroscopic, that the water content will be removed because these are hygroscopic in nature. They can absorb the water inside, leaving the actual materials with no water content or moisture content inside. This actually increases the shelf life of food items like jellies, jam, all these things are. The next natural preservative is the oil. If you add the oil to the food items, what will happen that the contact of microbes to the air will be blocked, middle layer of oil. Sometimes you could have seen in a bottle of pickle, if you open it, the area where it is covered with the oil looks fresh, whereas little exposed area they may have a fungal growth. This is because this oil will always prevent the entry of air so that the microbes can start growing there. So addition of oil makes the prevention of entry of air to these food items. So lack of air means no microorganisms can grow in that. That makes the food to be stored for a long time. There are some synthetic materials which also can be used as a food preservatives. They also does the same properties like removal of moisture, or sometimes they help in the killing of microbes. And some of the food preservative synthetic materials are sodium benzoate, citric acid, vinegar, sodium metabisulfite and potassium bisulfate. These chemicals, when it is added as a preservative inside the food, this will also increase the shelf life of the food items. If you look at the additional informations, we never keep the bananas inside the refrigerator. Reason is, if you keep these bananas inside the refrigerator, if you have a habit, stop doing it. Of course, if you keep these bananas inside the refrigerator, it will increase the shelf life and that can be preserved a little bit. But there is a problem that decreased temperature, the enzyme responsible for browning and the cell damage will be more active in a lower temperature. That means the browning of that particular peel of that particular banana and the cells will be damaged so quickly than the normal temperature. That is why we never keep the bananas inside the refrigerator. The next topic we are going to discuss is the food preservation. Why we should preserve the food? Reasons are, it will retain the quality because a fruit produced today may not be as such after 1 week. It will be spoiled. So to avoid the unnecessary wastage of the food and food supply, that's an important point, because for an example, apples is produced only in Kashmir in India, but in part of South India we are also getting the apples. Reason is they store the food and supply it throughout the world, so that every person will be benefited out of it. Coming to the next one in the food preservation, that will increase the shelf life. That means if the food is processed and is kept, it will be there with the same quality for a little more longer duration. And coming to the next one, what are the methods to do food preservation? There are like drying, removal of moisture, so no microorganisms can grow in that. That will increase the life of that particular fruit. Next one is smoking. Smoking also will remove all the moisture content, so no microbes can grow in that. So that food will not be decayed so fast. We can preserve the food for some time. Irradiation. Usage of high ionizing waves like ultraviolet and all these can kill the microbes in that particular food, so that the decaying of that particular food will be delayed. And coming to cold storage. Keeping the items in a cold condition will stop the enzymatic activities inside this particular fruit to go for self-destruction or self-decomposition. And coming to freezing, keeping the things below 0 degrees Celsius will make the microbes, enzymes, all these will be inactive. So we will get a little bit huge duration by freezing these food items. The preservation through freezing little expensive, because you need to depend on electrical equipments, so it can bring down the temperature to at this level. And coming to the next one, pasteurization. This is a technique used for preservation of liquid, especially milk and all. It is pasteurized. You could have noticed that name, pasteurized milk, in a milk packet. The technique is boil this milk into 60 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes and followed with a sudden cooling that will kill all the microbes inside. So that will give extra storage time. That too, this milk is supplied in cold storage. So both pasteurization and cold handling of the milk will give you an increased life for that particular milk packet. Coming to the next one is canning. So take these food materials, keep it in a tight container, either by removing this air or by completely pressurized packing can lead the destruction of microbes inside or and we can preserve this food item by extra addition of preservatives. Preservatives can be of natural and synthetic. Natural preservatives for the food preservation are salt, sugar and oil. Salt and sugar will remove the moisture content, so that it will make the food substrate as a non-viable condition for the microbes. So these will preserve the food. Also, addition of oil will make the food and the air will have no contact. So if there is no air supply inside, no microbe can be alive. So the food can be preserved. And coming to the next one, synthetic mode things which are used for food preservation. Example is citric acid. Citric acid also can be used to preserve the food. Coming to the next one, for this food item can be adulterated. What is the meaning of adulteration? Addition or deletion of anything to the food for a financial gain. This adulteration can be done by natural itself, incidental and intentional. So we will see them one by one. Natural food adulteration means by naturally some agents inside, like poisonous mushrooms or prussic acid present in the seeds of apple and all, and natural contaminants like microbes and all may come inside to destroy. Also moisture also plays an important role. They are all natural methods of the spoilage of food. That is also considered as an adulterant. Whereas residues of pesticide used, remainings of rodents and microbial contaminations are considered as incidental adulteration. They may happen because of poor package and processing area and all may be poor. So microbial contaminations like Escherichia coli, Salmonella can happen very frequently. Coming to the next one, intentionally added for the financial gain alone. additives for the extra sweetening things can be added. Some chemicals can be added for the fast ripening of mangoes and bananas. Example, calcium carbide. Also, non-certified food colors can be added. You could have seen that some pea beans are in extra greenish. If you wash it, the water will become green in color. So those things are very dangerous for the health. Also, the wax, edible wax, shellac, these are also used for polishing the apple and all. Naturally, apples have a waxy coating around, but we are adding additional wax coating so that the apple will look so shiny. Actually, shining apples mean they have just wiped it so that the apple looks so shiny. If you use a blade or something like that, you can see that you can remove the wax coating from it. In fact, that wax coating is dangerous for us. The next one we are going to look into is the food quality control. In our country, we have two laws. By 1954, in the year 1954, a law has passed, food law, and the year 1955, Prevention of Food Adulteration Act. These laws will, along with few agencies in our country, will maintain a good quality of returns for the farmers, equal supply of these things throughout the country, and a buffer stock, storage of this food for the future use. Also, regulation of price for all these things throughout the country. They will make it sure, they will make sure that it is same throughout the country. And these are the aims of that particular laws. If you look at the agencies functioning in our country, is called, first one is ISI, Indian Standard Institutions. They are also called as Bureau of Indian Standards. They are maintaining the quality of electrical equipment, switches and other things. And if you look at the AGMARK, next one, Agriculture Marketing, where it maintains a quality assurance mark called AGMARK. And that is for the agricultural things, livestock, canned fruits and all these things. And FPO, Fruit Process Order. This is maintaining the fruits and jam, all these processed food. They will maintain the quality of that. And the last one is FSSI, Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. This is the exact agency that will maintain the protection of quality food, promotion of it, and public health, supervision of all these production manufacturing units, and regulations will be made through the production, storage and supply of food items. So these agencies will make sure that we all get a quality food in our country. With this, we conclude the lesson nutrition and health. And you could have noticed that most of the supply of nutritive things, most of the supply, you could have noticed that the supply of most of the vitamins, minerals, all these are, and like always I used to say, stay safe and stay healthy. Don't forget to go for quality food, expose yourself to the sun for a little bit to get vitamin D that induces immunity. Also take food items that has plenty of vitamin C inside. So with that, we can stay with a good immunity. And thank you for watching this. See you in the next chapter.